Hi guys, it's Nicole and I've got a fun color-focused single page layout today featuring the Sunny Days collection from Simple Stories. I am quickly showing you guys here, these are a bunch of B-sides that I had pulled thinking that I was going to use all of them. I am going to change direction a little bit here in a second. This was another one of those layouts where I skipped picking a sketch and just kind of was following the mood to do a color-focused style design. This, for me, can sometimes be heaven when I am struggling creatively because I can just focus on specific zones on the layout and do tone-on-tone embellishing, which is a favorite thing of mine. And I thought it would be fun to just cut chunky, wonky strips of paper. So I started with the yellow one at the top because I need the top edge to be, straight across. And then I eyeballed an angle cut, and then I used the angled cut from the first strip to mark it onto the next one, which was orange, so that when I cut that off, the angles will match along that white gutter for the background. And all of these cuts, I'm not measuring anything. I know roughly that I've got about a 3.5 inch kind of area for all three of them, so that the three of them plus the white space is going to kind of give me that 12-inch section. The pink one, I just matched up that angled line and then marked where the bottom of the layout was, and that was how I was able to kind of get everything lined up pretty perfectly. I'm going to go ahead and attach these down to my layout. This was so quick. This is one of those kind of design concepts that I will pull out when I'm feeling like I want to do a lot of embellishing, but I don't want to be overwhelmed with lots of product and lots of choices. Simply doing tone-on-tone embellishing and then picking a certain number of colors, in this instance I've got 3, is really going to speed up the process as far as decision making. And sometimes I need a shortcut like that. I pulled out my stash of thread. I've mentioned this before. The majority of my thread I haven't gone out and purchased to specifically match to papers. Most of this is leftovers from previous cross-stitch projects. So when I finish a big cross-stitch project, any of the threads that I have left over, I just put them in this box, kind of in a loose color order, and I try to pull from there first before I go shopping for new thread. I do need to go soon because I'm noticing heavily used colors I'm running out of, and yellow and red for some reason seems to be the ones that I'm running out of. So I've grabbed just a little organizing tray here, and I'm gonna start digging through the different die cut packs, the different embellishment packs, and doing a quick pull of things that are yellow, orange, and that really bright pink. Usually when I'm doing this, I'm pulling stuff that I know for sure I can make work. Sometimes I can do that pack right there. I did a quick look. I skipped on the floral pack, and there was another pack that I skipped. There's so much in these collections that you could go even way fuller on your embellishing than I did today, and it would still be so fun. My photos, I just did a quick edit kind of based on the size of the strips. So I think the ones at the top section I did 2.5 inch squares. The other ones are 3-inch squares, and then I think I have a 4x3, and I thought it would be fun to just kind of have a couple photos in each zone, and then bring in a fun big word icon that matched the colors, and then just have fun tucking in things like the tags here that I'm going to cut some of these apart, some of those larger die cuts and stuff, and really just sort of fill in based on the color zone. So I went through and I found a couple tags. I really liked this orange one. I'm going to completely cover up the phrase, but I really liked the solid color of the orange on that one. And then I picked a pink one that I felt like the pattern on like the tag top would still show up against the busy like floral paper that I've picked. There was a couple that would have worked, but it was the exact same pattern printed on the tag as the pattern that I used for my pattern paper, so you wouldn't really be able to see it. So here I'm trying to figure out, I think originally my thought was my photos would be in the orange and pink and I would do like a big fun title in the yellow. I decided to do the 3 zones and then kind of give each zone its own title and then tuck journaling into just one of the zones. Fun fact, I was just sorting layouts and I have already scrapped these photos, so I didn't keep track of that. But it's okay because the first time I scrapped it, I think I only used like 3 photos. And when I was planning out this one, I noticed that I was having a hard time narrowing it down. And that's why I was like, you know what, if I make them smaller, like I can fit more. So I'm going to go ahead and just chuck the other one. It's totally fine. This is something that happens a lot for me sometimes because I don't keep track of things very well, is if I come across something that I've already done the photos, if I can't repurpose the layout by just swapping out the photos, a lot of times I'll just pick which one I like better, or maybe which one tells a better story, included more photos, that kind of a thing. Now is where we're going to start having fun, just kind of placing all kinds of different things. I would say this is like a loose scene building technique. Really, it's just fun color chaos is kind of where my brain goes when I am figuring out where to put things. I like to tuck larger elements kind of behind my photos. I like to make sure that nothing's sort of off by itself other than things like little hearts and little like enamel dots. I like to have everything sort of touching everybody's friends. I think it helps it look a little bit more put together, a little bit more cohesive, if that makes sense. And I do like to put some stuff like pushed back flat to the page, maybe tucked behind photos, and then other things I like to visually pull forward by putting some foam adhesive behind them, overlapping them on top of other things. This is one of those layouts where I would say the majority of the process that I filmed was me putting foam adhesive on things. Sometimes I will cut that out of videos, sometimes I will leave it in. I've kind of had 50-50 as far as comments go about what people like to see or don't like to see. I think the majority being they don't really care, they just enjoy watching the video overall. So that's always fun. So you can see here, like I did pop up the sunglasses, but I did go ahead and pop them just a tiny bit behind the title so everything is together. I'm going to go ahead and cut off anything that's overhanging at the top, and I really wanted to use those flip-flops, so I decided to tuck them underneath that photo, and I think I ended up, this is about where like I've used everything that I picked during my initial kind of pulling of products. Then I like to go back. I pulled that little border from a die cut pack that I hadn't taken anything from. I grabbed the little hearts that I had set aside, and then I always like to go to the 12 by 12 sticker sheet and look at the little phrases. And again, I'm looking for color. So I go through and look at all of the yellow ones and basically just pick one where either the phrase doesn't clash with my theme, but it doesn't 100% have to support my theme either. I'm really just looking for color, shape, size. To me, those little phrase stickers, what they actually say is not not super, super important to me. I just want it to kind of bring more fun and more interest to my sort of giant cluster. So took a little break, came back, kind of did a little bit of pre-planning for the orange section, and now I'm ready to go ahead and start adhering all of this. I did realize that I needed to bring out some kind of a straight edge. In this case, it was a T-ruler, to make sure that at least my photo on this one was going to be straight. I like to have at least one straight photo going on when the rest of them are all kind of wonky. And because my background strips are at an angle, that I didn't have anything to make sure that it was straight. And then my journaling, I want to make sure that that is straight as well. And you can see I tucked the larger die cuts first flat to the page before I came in with my journaling, so that that kind of layers on top of it. I'm going to bring in that big fun orange hello, and then a little like summer subtitle, and just kind of filling in with those little hearts. These cute little sunglasses were from the chipboard. I loved this little soda bottle from the sticker sheet. Couldn't quite figure out where I had planned on having him, so I had to move over my little party mixtape. There was this little flower from one of the die cuts that I thought was so fun to go ahead and include that as well. And then I think I've got another little phrase sticker that I'm going to pop up on some foam adhesive, and I like to put these over the edge of my photos where there's like not like a person's face. So in that specific photo is just open. There's like, the corner of the swimming pool. I'm going to add some more of those little hearts in the coordinating color. And then I just kind of keep checking the embellishments that I've already kind of dug through and used. See if there's anything like prominent that I want to go ahead and grab. I will end up doing like another kind of going over everything at the very end. I always like to see if there's something that maybe I overlooked, any other like small tiny details that I can go ahead and throw in there, and that kind of a thing. I'm going to move on down to this pink section and add that little tag. I loved this like giant swimsuit, even though my daughter's not even wearing a swimsuit in these photos. She was out there in her diaper. These photos are from the like parenting era that I always refer to as the trenches, when I don't know if I've mentioned this before. My husband does air conditioning for a living, and this is back when he was a service tech in a van in Vegas in summer. So for a good 7 or 8 months, I would not see him until probably dark after dinner. So 2 kids, I think at this point under the age of 3, and 2 dogs, one of which was still pretty much a puppy. I was kind of drowning in chaos, and there's not really a lot you can do with that. So I would grab this cheap little swimming pool that we got, I think from Kmart, and I would fill it up, put it in the front yard. I would harness the dogs to their leashes that were attached to a giant tree in the front yard, fill that thing up, and throw everybody in it. And I would kind of sit in a corner by the front door in the shade and sort of have a moment to myself while everybody could kind of finish getting their sort of end of the day zoomies done. I wouldn't go out there when it was like middle of the day, super hot. This was sort of like, okay, we've had dinner. We still have a couple hours of daylight before bedtime. Like, what can we possibly do to kind of cool off and, like I said, get zoomies out? So this little pink pool was my best friend that summer. Like, I think one of the times I dragged it into like the edge of the garage because it was just so hot and like so sunny that I was like, you know what, let's have a shady pool day. So these are always fun when I go like back kind of deep in my photos, because I feel like somebody commented it before that they don't realize how old my kids are sometimes because I bounce around with my photos, and I kind of like that. I think it kind of eliminates, I don't know, not really eliminates anything, but just kind of, it's like a fun surprise, like, hey, here's babies. Hey, here's preteens. So I think at this point I had walked over to go probably check the date for these photos. Most likely that's probably what I was pulling up. And I'm still just kind of filling things in with the yellow section and the orange section. I got the big, like, colorful title pieces were from the foam sheets, and I don't think there was a pink one on the foam sheets, so that kind of broke my little pattern that I was going with. So I think I got the smile from like the sentiment bits or something. And with all three of those, I just tried to find some sort of combination of the words that did make sense. These little phrases right here, they don't need to make sense to me, but the big, bold, kind of iconic title areas, I do like them to at least make sense. So like you've got bright summer sunshine, hello summer, and then like summer smile, which I thought was funny because it's actually the dog that's just living his best life and smiling in the foreground of that one. But all four of them were out there having the time of their life. This is the point where overall everything's looking good, and I start going back through things like the sticker sheet, the chipboard sheet, the foam stickers, like the stuff that I don't take individual pieces off when I'm doing my original kind of sort through. Dies and die cuts are really easy to sort through because there's no adhesive on them. So if I don't end up using something, I can just kind of put it back in the package. I don't like to pull stuff off the sticker sheets if I can avoid it. So that's usually why at the very end, I will go back and check sticker sheets for phrases, tiny icons. In this case, the chipboard had some really good chipboard hearts that I was able to pull and kind of fill in some details. I did add the date off camera and went and took my photos so you guys can see some more details a little bit more close up. And if you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate you. I'm going to recommend some stuff here. If you haven't already subscribed, I'd love for you to join me, and I will catch you guys very soon with another video.